Welcome back to day 5 of our 28th day of Knit and Stitch challenge. I'm Marianna and today we talk about tension, counting stitches, counting row in garter stitch. By now you'll learn how to cast on, how to work the knit stitch, and you might have started notice something interesting, your tension. Maybe your stitches are too loose, maybe they are too tight, or just inconsistent, but don't worry, that's totally normal. Today we're diving into tension and how to count stitches, how to count row in garter stitch. Those are fundamental skills that will make your knitting experience so much smoother and will help you read your knitting like a pro. So grab on your needles, your yarn, and let's get started. Your tension is simply how tight or loose your stitches are, how you hold your yarn, wrap it around your needle, even how relaxed or tense you are while knitting is affected. If your stitches are super tight, it can be hard to insert your needle and your fabric may feel stiff. If they're too loose, your stitch will look uneven and your fabric feels like floppy. Ideally, we want something in between, smooth, even stitches that create a nice balanced fabric. Now let's look at a few standard tension issues and how to fix them. Too tight? Well, if your stitches feel tight, you pull the yarn too firmly as you wrap it around the needle, like this. You insert and you pull it too tight. So try relaxing your grip and letting the yarn flow more freely. Also, make sure you're not pulling the yarn too tight when moving from one stitch to the next. Let the stitch set naturally on the needle. Too loose. If your stitches feel loose and uneven, you may not hold enough tension in your working yarn. Try wrapping the yarn around your finger differently. Maybe looping it once around your pinky to create a little bit more control. Also, make sure you're not pulling the yarn too far out before making it stitched. Keep your movement consistent. So a mix of the two, tight and loose stitches, is inconsistent tension, and this is the most common issue for beginners. The secret is just practice. The more you knit, the more natural your tension will become. One trick: try knitting slower, watching how you wrap the yarn around the needle. Consistency is the key. I encourage you to try a quick practice swatch and adjust your tension. Now that you're feeling better about your tension, let's talk about how to count stitches and rows in garter stitch. This is super important because it helps you keep track of your progress, follow patterns, and ensure your projects turn out the right size. So in garter stitch, each ridge, these horizontal bumps, represent 2 rows. So if you count 1, 2, 3 ridges, you actually knit 6 rows. To count your stitches, simple count the little V shapes, or you can also count the bumps horizontally across the row. So we casted on 20 stitches, so we should have 20 bumps here. Let's try together. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 stitches, and I should have 20 stitches like here, for example. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So yeah, it's correct. And now let's try your rows. I have 3 bumps, 3 ridges. So I have knitted 6 rows. You can try the other side. In the other side there are 4, so I've not knitted 6, but I've knitted 7 because one side is 4 and one side is 3. Great job today. Tension takes time to be perfect. Don't stress, it's not perfect right away. Keep practicing. I promise you, it will get easier. So let's talk about today's homework. I want you to try to knit a small swatch, about 20 stitches wide, 20 rows tall. 20 rows is 10 ridges. You focus to keep your tension even. Then you knit your stitches here and on one of the ridges, and you knit your rows to make sure you understand how to track your progress. Then share your swatches with me in the comments or on social media. I love to see how you're doing. Tomorrow we will learn the build-off, blocking and weaving in the ends together. Rest up and I'll see you in the next lesson. Happy knitting!